Hello and welcome. My name is Rebecca, and today I want to share with you my personal secret to getting pregnant naturally. I'm actually going to be sharing 5 things with you that I feel made the biggest difference when it comes to my personal experience. And I want to just start out with a disclaimer that I am not a fertility expert. I am a certified health coach, but I want to share with you just my personal experience on how I naturally became pregnant after 7 years of secondary infertility. My hope is that by the end of this video, you will have a little bit more insight and understand the value and importance of truly having a holistic approach when it comes to health, whether that's with fertility, whether that's with autoimmune condition, whether that's just with any other sort of illness or disease or disorder or any sort of health concern or health issue that you have, even if it is simply just wanting to lose weight, because a truly holistic approach is the answer to really having optimal health. So we're gonna dive right into the first thing. So the first thing that I think made a huge difference is addressing my physical alignment, physical structure, if you will. So if I back up a little bit from my first pregnancy, ever since I was pregnant, I had chronic back and knee pain that did not go away for many years. And so part of me getting pregnant again was really coming to terms with, or questioning actually, like if my body can even do it, because I did have a C-section. So I'm going to get into that a little bit more in a second. But the thing is, I wanted to make sure that my body was physically able and in alignment and the best position that it could be in to, number one, carry a child, and number two, to actually deliver the child vaginally. So I made it a point to seek out pelvic floor therapy, which when I did this, I actually learned that I'm hyperactive in my pelvic floor, so I had to really learn how to relax my pelvic floor, and had some exercises plus some self-treatment tools that I have now that actually really helped my back pain. It was crazy how like internal trigger points actually created pain in my back. As someone who has went through massage therapy school and certified in neuromuscular therapy, that's just an area that we don't work on because you know, it's a sensitive area, and we don't work on that, but the pelvic floor therapist does. And so I knew that trigger points were a thing. It was just interesting how it was just like on the other side, if that makes sense. So I did pelvic floor therapy, and this is years later. This is years after, like 7-8 years after having Taylor, that I did pelvic floor therapy from a problem I had when I was pregnant. And I will tell you, it got way better, and I don't have that back pain. I used to have to lay in bed with my hand underneath my back. There's some other things that I did too that I think contributed. Again, it's truly about a holistic. There's never this one answer. There might be this one thing that you're missing in your routine, but there's never just like one quick fix. That makes sense. So other things that I did, I started getting regular chiropractic care just to keep up with the alignment. I'd always gotten massages, so I just maintained that and getting regular massages, especially with people who are certified in neuromuscular therapy, to really work on the function of the muscle versus just like relaxation massage, which is beneficial. Any massage, you know, is going to have health benefits, even if it's just relaxation due to the increased circulation. But if you're in pain, you really want to seek out someone who is certified in the pain management, pain specialist, basically, with massage. Something else that I did is I didn't even realize that I still had this, but I had diastasis recti from my first. And most often what people do is do physical therapy for this, do exercises to heal it. And I have heard many stories of people who did all that still end up needing surgery because that did not work. And let me tell you, the secret here is actually having craniosacral therapy. So I had a few sessions of craniosacral therapy to restore my diastasis recti, because it's not just the muscle. As you get pregnant, as you grow, you know what else moves around in there? Your organs. And there is something called your mesentery, which is this protective covering of your organs. It's between your organs and your muscles. And that actually kind of spreads out. And that is what actually needs to be put back together, if that makes sense. Sometimes that can go with when you're doing the strengthening of the core and things like that, but often it doesn't. And so my thought is that you just treat both. Treat the muscle, work on the core function and strength, but also work on the organ assessment as well. So I did craniosacral therapy for that. So those were the main things that I did on a physical level. Now, years prior to this, so I started this about 2 years ago, or 2 years before I got pregnant. I'm actually 39 weeks and 5 days today. And so due any second, basically. But before that, some other just physical things that I did was definitely losing weight. Like with my first pregnancy, I gained a ton of weight. It took a long time to get off. So I really worked on improving, just like my physical condition as losing weight, getting on a good exercise routine, and then also just having a good relationship with food. So then therefore I could actually lose the weight. But just as a side note, there were a couple other things I was already doing before I kind of went gung-ho with this physical structure approach. So the second thing that I did, and this is really in no particular order, some of these things, like where I kind of was working on at the same time, sometimes I added them in. It just kind of depended. But I do know after about 5 years of having secondary infertility, I just was like, Rebecca, let's just take a truly holistic approach, just like you would with the client. Let's do this and just see what happens, right? What do you have to lose, because I know that's what's important. But of course, just like everyone else, like if I have sex when I'm ovulating, I should get pregnant, right? Anyway. So the second thing that the second area that I really think made a huge difference is relieving stress off of my body, which by doing the physical things actually helps to relieve the stress off your body, because that's the physical tension that you have, which creates stress and inflammation, which creates dysfunction in your body. But I more took it from an approach of lowering stress on my adrenals and just overall lowering my stress load, becoming more resilient to the stress. And so what I did is I reduced my caffeine to 200 milligrams. I talked about this in my Hashimoto's video, because a lot of this stuff, or some of this stuff actually, is what helped me to heal my Hashimoto's, which the stress part of that is actually what I think was the catapult to actually getting pregnant, because I took so much pressure off of my physical body, mentally, physically, spiritually as well. But anyway, so I reduced my caffeine to 200 milligrams a day, approximately. Wasn't as strict with it as I am while I'm pregnant, of actually 200. So maybe I got 250 sometimes, who knows, but maybe even 300 at most. But I did 2 cups of coffee basically every day, or that would be my max for the day. And then I also prioritized 7 hours of sleep every single night, which meant that sometimes I had to just not do some work projects, because I have a lot of things that I want to do, lots of ideas, lots of things, and there's just not enough time in the day for me to do all of them. So I have to prioritize and do what I'm able to do, and try not to stress out about it, and know that everything will happen in time when it comes to work and stuff. So the other thing that I did to relieve some more stress off of my body was balancing my workouts. So I mentioned I already got on a good workout routine, which meant that for a good, from the time I got pregnant, over 4 years of consistent every week exercise, even on vacation, because I do that for mental health. It is definitely physical health benefits, I want to be able to carry groceries in and play with my daughter and do things, walk up the hill at the zoo without running out of breath, but I'm out of breath now because I'm, about to pop. But anyway, I wanted to do, there's physical benefits to it, but also it's for my mood. I have not had seasonal affective disorder since I started working out regularly, and I just feel good. It's a way to release that energy, release the pent up stress. However, if you're doing HIIT training every single day, that is an extra stress on your body. So I modify my exercises. Even if I went to a place at the time, or before I got pregnant, I was going to 9 round, and it was all HIIT training. But if I went there 4 days a week, I just would take 2 of those days and go really hardcore HIIT, and the other days I would just do more moderate. And so I do that now too, with my workouts. I'm not going to only do yoga or Pilates. I still like the strength training, I still like the cardio, I just lower the speed. And I did incorporate yoga into my routine every single week. And Pilates is something that I'm actually certified in, that I even teach my clients and through programming, but it's not something that I do every single day. It's more something that I do that I incorporate into my workouts through strengthening the core. So I do actually like to use Pilates as like physical therapy, kind of, to get your body and your core right, and then use those philosophies and principles during other exercises. And then depending on what's going on, if I am in pain, then I will incorporate those throughout the week and stuff. But anyway, I balanced that out. And then this one was hard for me because as someone who grew up in a stressful environment, I am prone to stress. I live in like, my body, I guess, lives in a state of stress, like, and so it's really hard for me to relax, which is why I really got drawn to the work that I've done over the last 18 years, because I know how hard it is to relax. I know how important it is to have that relaxation. I know that, how on a full body level, how important that is. So I had to learn to slow down. And I kind of mentioned that when I was like some workloads, like by prioritizing my sleep, I wasn't able to do things. So I had to slow down. I had to say, you know what, not everything needs to get done today. It's okay if the dishes actually are not going to be done today. Sometimes I did have to choose to write a newsletter or do dishes, you know what I'm saying? Or like take a client call or fold laundry or whatever. That's balance, and that's no big deal. But other times it's like, I'm not going to take on so many clients so then I can have the time to exercise and have the time to do this work. So it was really about finding that balance and giving myself a break and allowing myself to just like be slow and let things happen. The third thing that I did is educate myself. Okay, so this is really critical. Anything that you are trying to make a change in your life, you need to know what you're working with, right? So originally, I was like, I need to truly learn. Like, I know about my cycle, I know about the ebbs and flows, but I don't know all the ins and outs because I'm not a fertility specialist. So I actually purchased a course on your flow. It's called Finesse Your Flow by Becca something, I can't remember. I'll link to it because it was worth all the money. You know, like sometimes you gotta spend a few $100s on a course to learn some information that will be life changing. Now I will tell you, I did not follow her program. I did not do the meal plan and I did not do the exercise program. I just wanted to learn in detail about my cycle. Now something that she did not recommend, but I did actually incorporate, and I've shared a video on this, is I did start seed cycling, and I think that helps as well because it just helps balance hormones. But anyway, I educated myself on your cycle, what to expect on, you know, certain days and things like that. And then also I started tracking my cycle using natural cycles, and that even meant that I was taking my temperature every day, and I was taking LH tests and stuff so I could learn my cycle. So you can learn about the cycle and then learn how my cycle actually works. And so I actually, through that process, learned that I was having a lot of anovulatory months. And so by knowing that, I can restart my cycle and know then when I was actually ovulating versus guessing based on numbers, basically. So that is huge. Getting educated and getting some support. So right now, because I'm preparing for a VBAC, I also purchased a course on VBAC from Trish at Labor Nurse Mama. Love all of her stuff. She does not just focus on VBAC. She has a Calm Mama labor course as well. She has newborn courses, postpartum courses, birth coach courses, all kinds of things. Lots of great information, plus a bunch of free stuff on her Instagram. And I think she even has a YouTube channel. But getting support and getting education about the things that you're going through are really, really helpful. And so that was huge. It's just to understand your cycle, understand the days, understand what to expect, when things are supposed to happen, and also, you know, that's it, really. Just understand your cycle, because I'm trying to get pregnant, so I want to understand my cycle. Because I did end up going to a fertility specialist and learned that there was nothing wrong. You know, she said, well, it could be early onset menopause, it could be due to your thyroid, it could be due to this, blah, 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 but like they couldn't see anything. Like we could dig deeper. We could keep going and searching for more stuff, but it was like, no, there's nothing that like was indicated. Like I know someone person close to me who, when they went to the fertility specialist, learned that like their ovary was like detached from their fallopian tube. Well, it's not really attached anyway, but it was further away, so like the egg couldn't travel down to the fallopian tube. So there's nothing like that for me where like I needed to continue to seek out the fertility treatment. It's just at that point I knew like this is my body just being out of balance, and I need to restore the balance in my body. And sometimes it's really frustrating when you don't get answers, but honestly it's the best thing, because then you have more control over it. And if you just make a few minor changes in your life, you can have that balance, have the life that you want, and have the ultimate health that you desire. And so when I, learned there really isn't anything wrong, and like she's trying to say it's early menopause, but it's like really just an anovulatory month. And even in my Hashimoto's, which I have that video on that, where I learned I had Hashimoto's for a long time. They didn't even tell me because it's treated the same. And one of the side effects or symptoms is actually infertility. So like there is a thing related to that, but why do you have Hashimoto's? Why is your immune system attacking itself? Stress, trauma, imbalance. That's just what it is. So anyway, got educated, huge. The fourth thing that I did is, and this is the part, actually the next two are the things that I really feel are missing the most, because number one, we don't want to admit it, we don't want to address it. Number two, it's not really talked about in conventional health, and that is honoring your actual feelings and emotions regarding what is going on, right? So when I had this realization, and I was talking to my husband, I said, here's the deal. I want to have another child, but I don't want to get pregnant because I was afraid. I talked about that a little bit in my, what it's really like to be pregnant after secondary infertility. But I had to just really be honest with myself, and I had to process all of those emotions. I had to come to terms with the fact that, it's possible that I could have another C-section. It's possible that there could be complications. Like I had to be okay with it. It's possible I could have back pain again. It's possible that I could, gain too much weight again. It's possible that things just won't go my way. But honoring that, accepting that, and just truly being like okay with that, allowing that to release. And then also replacing those thoughts with empowering ones, like yes, your body is built to do this and you can do this. And because I had the experience of like all the weight gain before, I'm much more conscious now of, my food choices, and I'm not restrictive at all, but I am more conscious and I'm more intuitive with my body and listening to my body, intuitively eating, prioritizing certain foods like, vegetables and fruits and proteins and things like that. But I had to really come to terms with that. Like, what am I really afraid of? And I had to address it. It's a huge thing that you have to address your actual feelings and emotions when it comes to just really any kind of change or health improvement that you want to have. You can be trying so hard and wanting it so bad, but like maybe it's serving you in some way. Maybe there's some underlying fear, just working through that. So you can do that through therapy, through counseling, through support groups, through journaling, whatever space and capacity that you need. Definitely, it's something that you want to do. Then the fifth thing that I did, which I thought I was doing from the beginning, honestly, because I was never too stressed about like getting pregnant in the beginning, probably because I was like secretly afraid and didn't really want to, I guess. But to just allow it to happen at the time that it's supposed to, not try to control it, allow it to happen and have faith and trust that it was going to happen at the right and perfect time. So that is very small, but like just believing that sometimes life doesn't happen on our terms, and everything that we experience in life is part of our journey. And our journey is to heal, learn, and grow. And having trust in that, like, especially like it's hard for me now being 37 pregnant, I'm almost 38. And like I'll be 38 in 2 weeks. And so because it took so long to get pregnant, I'm now in this advanced maternal age. And so, of course, you don't want that, right? You're like, oh, I need to have baby before this certain time, so I'm not looked at differently, because you are treated differently when you're that age, no matter what. Like, I've had great blood pressure, I've had great numbers, everything is looking great and wonderful, and they still treat me like there's something wrong. because of my age and because I've had a previous C-section. So, but anyway, God, universe, whoever, they don't do anything wrong. Even if it feels icky and it feels like, gosh, I've been waiting so long, like, and I want it right now. Veruca. That's what my husband used to call me, Veruca. I want a golden goose now. But 7 years is a long time, right? Anyway, but it's exactly where I was supposed to be. As hard as that is, like, we didn't want kids to be too close together. I certainly didn't want them to be 11 years apart, though, like they're going to be. But I have to trust and know, and I do trust, and I do believe with all my heart that this is exactly what is supposed to happen. And no matter what, like, it's all going to be okay. And so just having that trust, having that faith, having some sort of spiritual connection, whether that is to, like, just the universe, to yourself, like your higher self, to God, your religion, or whatever, just like keeping the faith and just trusting in the process and knowing that it's all going to benefit you in the end and that it'll all work out in the end. And I do want to share too, like I mentioned a little bit ago, about like my person who's close to me who ended up having fertility treatment because they found something. Just because you don't get pregnant naturally does not mean like it's not that time. Like, I'm not here to say like you should get pregnant naturally, or if it doesn't happen naturally, that's not meant to be, or like keep waiting. Like, sometimes the best thing for you to do is have the fertility treatment, is to go through that process. Like, that might be part of your healing, growing, and learning journey, right? So there's no way to really know what the timing is. It's just to go along the process and trust your intuition the whole time. For me, I know I did not want to do fertility treatment, and obviously they didn't find anything wrong anyway, so I could have continued to go and could have forced things to happen probably, but I decided like I'm not going to do that because that didn't feel right in my heart, So always just like follow your intuition, follow your heart, follow your path. But I hope this really just gives you, I don't know, like a bigger picture view of health and fertility, and can just help you to kind of maybe look at the big picture. Are you experiencing infertility? And is there one of these things maybe, or these areas that you haven't addressed yet, that maybe you should, that may be the thing that kind of gets you over the edge and gets you to that next step? But let me know. I'd love to know your story if you want to share anything with me in the comments. And I just really hope that you have an awesome day. I appreciate you being here with me, letting me share my story and my journey. And like I always say, please go do something good for yourself, because you are number one. Bye.